Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 21st of June. Um, excuse me. Today's been a very adventuresome day. We, as in me, Jerry, and Lisa, decided we're going to take a day trip to Springfield. Now, there was two reasons for it. One, Jerry wanted to take her to our Campers World, our nearest Campers World, so she can compare prices to the Campers World or the RV that she was looking at down in Texas. She found another Jayco brand, Class C. I keep on getting those mixed up. The one that looks like looks like a box truck, which I think is C. She looked at it, she climbed into it, and right now she's got a hip issue that she's going back to Texas to have looked at or dealt with by the 27th. That's why she's only here for a week. But while we were down in Springfield, or that area, we did go into Springfield. We went to one of my favorite bookshops because Lisa was looking for some crystals, and that's like one of the best places I know of to get that kind of stuff, the New Age stuff. I call it New Age, but in truth, it's not really New Age. It's just rediscovered and redefined stuff. But of course, I could not help myself, and I had to get a couple candles and some incense and a few things for myself. So yeah, I'm not mad at myself for it, and hopefully nobody else is, because it's my money, and I'll do with it as well as I please. But I always make sure my bills are paid first. So this is like money I set aside to play with. But I actually found that they have Nordic ruin, or like everybody wants to say Viking, Nordic ruin candles, and I got two different ones that I thought was kind of something I thought was necessary, because this one, and I cannot pronounce the word, but it's I should pull out my book. It teaches you how to translate to speak this word. But it's the Viking rune for success. So this basically is to help you succeed in something you're working on. And well, I thought it would be perfect to burn for Jerry because she's having success with healing, and I'm hoping she continues to have success. It's also for me to succeed in my goals and projects. So if you're of Nordic descent or know how to pronounce this word, I am sorry, I cannot, and I'm not going to try to, because I don't want to botch it up and say the wrong word and get somebody mad at me. But there it is, and there's the little runestone and the word right there. So that will be something I will burn in the mornings with my readings, my everyday stuff. And the next one, well, everybody knows who's Tyr. Well, hopefully, you learn enough from me to know who Tyr is, not the rock band, but the actual Norse deity. His symbol is the symbol of victory. And basically, I got this so we can continue to have victory over the cancer issues and any other issues that pop up. But there's that. And I'll see if I can get you closer to the words down there. But that's another thing I'll be burning. And because this factor Tyr is the symbol. Well, the symbol is for the god Tyr, and Tyr is Well, the rune is for victory, but Tyr is also the Norse deity for noble warriors and victory over battle and judgment. So I got a little necklace that I'm either going to hang. Either I'm going to wear it or I'm going to hang from one of my pegs in the bedroom. I'm trying to get this tape off the back of this and hopefully not tear up the back of it so I can read what it says on the back. So I just read a brief on the back and went, oh, I don't, it's something new to me. Come on. Slow and steady wins a race. There we go. Let's see, it says here, around 200 BC, the Nordic tribes of Northern Europe devised these rune symbols, to represent the forces of nature. It was believed that by picking the apparent rune, the wearer could harness the power of the rune represented. Okay, that's something I did not know. So, I might just wear it instead. Now that I read that, but no, I've talked to Jerry about it, and I'm pretty sure Jerry's indulging me by allowing me to get these kind of things. I said it before, and I'll continue to say it. I am based in a Christian lifestyle and upbringing. A lot of this is because of ancestral information and knowledge. I see how they did it. They made it so it slides. So you can slide it open to get it around your neck and slide it to tighten it in place. Oops, and I put it on backwards. Really good job, Jim. Really good job, Jim. But like the mirror that I wear it constantly. I do not take it off unless I'm taking showers. So that will probably be the same thing with this. But this feels like a very thin material, like pewter or something. So I might just take it off and leave it hanging from somewhere in my room because I don't want it to get damaged, broken, or anything like that. The next thing I got for myself was some incense. They're made in India. It's basically for positive vibes. It's called Positive Vibes Incense. That would be definitely something I want to be burning everywhere. Even though Mom is sometimes not exactly happy with me burning my incense, but as I put it to her one day, I'm not exactly happy with the smoke in the house either. Especially like today, we were gone all day, came home, and it was like, smelled like one of those old time lounges where everybody was smoking up cigarettes and cigars and tobacco and pipe tobacco and all that, and just like, excuse me. Oh, this is nice. They keep it in a nice pouch. We were trying to smell it earlier to figure out what exactly mixture it is, because my friend Lisa, or Jerry, my wife's friend Lisa, we call her our friend. Ooh, that's nice. Smells really nice. Her house always smells like incense or something of that nature, because Lisa is very new agey, but she's more into like the Hindu or Buddha type new age stuff, while I'm more interested in the Norse old age, as I call it. But I got a book that's supposed to be about Odin. And as yeah, as it says on the back, seeking the god with many names. And being that Odin is the All-Father and head of the Nordic deities or belief system, it was one of those books that I was like, I'll have to read this. I've been looking for certain books, and I'm not going to tell you where I have them. Oh, this talks about all the different deities, not just Odin. Okay. But my wife read it and kind of jumped to some goofy aspects because it says Odin, and underneath the symbol of Odin's horse and the two ravens, it says ecstasy, ruins, and Norse magic. And I just kind of went, okay, this is talking about. Oops, I forgot to give these to Jerry. I forgot. I was like, okay, this is about, Odin and his different adventures and the things he learned, and the fact that he gave his one eye to, I forgot who it was, so he could have infinite wisdom and knowledge, and basically created what a lot of people call Norse magic or Norse magic and that kind of stuff. It does talk about the different gods. It even talks about Hela. Or Hel, as we call her. It was... Okay. Okay, it talks about how he lost his eye. Alright. But anyhow, it's one of the different books that I've been wanting to get. I've got a couple of them that I'm kind of like, do I really want to get them or not? Because it literally indulges the reader into more of the pagan pagan side of Norse mythology, the rituals and the religious aspect. Let's put it that way. And I was like, no, I just want to know about the mythology and the different deities and what they stand for and what they represented and how it affected the people of the age and how it still affects the people who still follow the Norse religion. And I know more about the Norse people than their religion or their the different deities, gods and goddesses and whatnot. All in all, I got some stuff that I wanted, some stuff that I kind of needed for some of what I do. Like I said, I don't go into deep practice. I do burn candles and incense, and every so often, if I feel like things are getting negative, I use what the Native Americans call smudging, which a lot of different old school practices use, and that's burning incense and waving a eagle feather to make the incense go in different areas while you walk around the house and do a cleansing prayer, what they call a cleansing prayer, to cleanse, to cleanse any negativity or negative energy from the house or from the premises. Yes, it sounds like I'm mixing Native American and other different religions or ancient cultures, because I believe that a lot of the ancient ways or old ways, and I do say ancient because this is talking about way before Christ, before white man came to America, before, sometime before history started writing or recognizing the Norse people and their occupation known as Viking or Vikinger. I think Vikinger is a person and not just the whole Like to go Viking or to go Vikingar is to go raiding or pillaging, that kind of thing. But they are part of the Norse history or the Norse culture. Unfortunately, more people recognize the word Viking over Norseman. But I can't wait to start getting into this book. But I've got 3 books ahead of it. You might be thinking to yourself, well, if you've got books that you still need to read, why'd you buy another one? Well, simply put, the store that I go to, the Renaissance store in Springfield, Missouri, which has all the different old school religions and beliefs, from everything from tarot cards to Christianity, or certain kinds of Christian books and whatnot. They've got, but the thing is, every time I go there, there's always new books or different books in the section I go to, because they sold out of the other one and couldn't get it in, and so they just replace it with something else that they might have been able to get their hands onto. That's fine. In fact, they had a paperback version of yeah. Well, no, it's slightly different. They had this same author had another book on Norse mythology, and I almost grabbed that, but I was like, well, might be the same as the one I currently have. Let me just, not purchase it just for the sake of purchasing it, but I left it behind. I got this one instead, because one of the ones I was hoping they'd have, which I never seem to be able to find, is a book on... It's a book on a particular set group of Norse deities known as the Azir, which I think Odin, Freya, Heimdall, Tyr. I think most of the Norse gods that are defenders, basically, they're the guys that are most commonly known for their protection and love for mankind. While there's another book on a different set of Norse deities that are more bent on the control or destruction, like Loki and Hela. And Loki's children, which would be such creatures as Fenrir, I think, is the name of the wolf that is actually a child of Loki's, and there's a few other non-human type entities that are supposed to be children of Loki and a giantess, and I can't remember the giantess's name, but they're all in that one other book. Basically what it was is there are 3 different books, and each book has a certain amount of information about certain Norse deities, and it breaks it down on how... What I saw of the one book that I was thinking about getting, it breaks it down on whom they are, who their parents were, who their offspring are, what their representation amongst the Norse mythology is, and how they somehow work behind the scenes for the benefits of mankind. I don't know. It's like, I would love to have a lot of different kinds of knowledge and be very knowledgeable on a lot of different things, but I don't think I'm willing to give up my eye for that knowledge. But in the case of looking towards Odin, I like the fact that Odin loves to travel amongst the people of Midgard, Earth, to learn things about humanity, and then try to help humanity learn how to better themselves, or how things could be if they just learned particular pieces of knowledge that he can hand down to us. Um, and like Thor is supposed to be an inspiration because Thor is not only one of the toughest Norse gods, but he's also like the defender of Midgard. Um, so I take the ideas of Thor because I do like I like protecting people. I like helping people. Now, Disney has kind of misrepresented both Odin and Thor. Thor was a party boy. Yeah. So if you would read some of the information that is out there on the real Thor from the Norse people and the Norse histories, he had a pot belly. So the closest representation Disney ever came close to the real Thor was in games. There in the beginning, where you find him huddled up with that rock creature and bug creature, whatever he was, and he had a pot belly and drinking excessively. That's the real Thor. Luckily, Disney did not romanticize some of the other Norse deities, like they kind of romanticized Loki because Loki was very much a mischievous, playing tricks on everybody, trying to plot the destruction of Asgard, the whole 9 yards. Basically, he was the key figurehead for Ragnarok. Whether it's happened or not, we don't know. Some say yes, some say no. Just like some other religions out there are still waiting for the second coming of Christ, when most Christians know he's come and gone. We're just waiting for the end days, end times. They briefly talked about Heimdall. Well, not only was he the guardian of the gate, the Rainbow Bridge, or whatever you want to call it. I keep on forgetting the name of it. But he was also the herald of the Watcher, basically. And he carried with him a big horn, so anytime there was danger or anything like that for Asgard, he would blow the horn and call the troops for defending Asgard. They don't Hela. They romanticize the crap out of Hela. Hela was not a warrior like they made her sound like. She was. Oh yeah. She was. I mean, if you read the actual stories from Neil, whatever his name is, I can't remember, or various other books that talk about the deities, Hela was split. And what I mean by split is one half of her was this beautiful goddess that everybody wanted to be, but the other half looked like a corpse, looked like a walking corpse. And she was the guardian of hell, and she was the tormentor of those thrown to Helheim to spend the rest of their days being tormented because they did not die a proper Viking death, or they did something so absolutely wrong that even the Norsemen would be like, no, don't want nothing to do with that. But she was also one of Loki's, I think she was one of Loki's children, and she was basically the you hear the stories about the Valkyrie who take the dead or dying soldiers or warriors off the battlefield and take them to Valhalla. But those who fell and were not worthy of Valhalla, Hela was the one who would, or Hel would be the one to collect those souls, and those were hers to do with as she pleased. So yeah, they romanticize a lot of the Nordic figureheads and characters when they did the Thor series for Marvel Comics, or the Marvel Cinema Universe, however you want to put it. But they never talked about some of the other deities that you hear only bits and pieces of. They never really got into Boulder or theater or Frigga. Was it Frigga? Yeah, they didn't talk about the twins, Frigga and I forgot what her sibling's name was. They barely mentioned Lady Sif, which actually became Thor's, according to the stories that I read, became Thor's wife, basically. You know, you don't hear about some of these other deities. You have to really dig deep or get the right books. And I think this book, the Odin book, and the Neely Norse mythology talks about him. But I really can't wait to read these books. I really can't. Because it will give me more information on a lot of different things that you don't always hear about through Marvel Universe or any of the other romanticized versions of Norse mythology or the Vikings. That in fact are the misconception that a Viking helmet will always have horns on it. No, that's romanticized. The horns that you would hear from real Norse books or anybody who read enough about the Nordic. In fact, even this book that I've been trying to read to you guys, the Viking Handbook, it talks about that the horns, the polished horns, were drinking vessels, and usually were only used for special occasions because of the time consumption, the time consumed of having a cow grow its horns so that the farmer or butcher or whomever can remove the horn from the cow's head and carve it out to make it into a drinking vessel. Now, I know of several different species of cows that were around in that area during the around Norway and those places like that during the Viking era, that literally the horns would come off seasonally. So all you'd have to do sometimes is just wait for the horn to pop off and pick it up, clean it up, and that kind of thing. Or there's a way to remove the actual outer the outer horn part, which is the hard part that they polished up, without harming the cow or anything like that. It may sound brutal, but it's not. I mean, that's just the way things are up there in the north. Just like most reptiles, as they grow, they shed a layer of skin for new skin because they're growing out of their old skin. It's just a growth thing. But that's what we did today, and I I had fun. We went to the Dollar Tree up there, and they have a really good Dollar Tree up there in Springfield. And when me and Lisa were looking at RVs, Jerry stayed in the car. So while me and Jerry were rolling around Dollar Tree, Lisa stayed in the car. And I can kind of understand why things happen the way they did. Jerry can't get up into an RV, so there's no sense of getting out of a car into the warm air and being pushed around. So Lisa and I can go up and look inside the RVs. No, I'm not getting one. I just wanted to be there to look at the RVs and maybe, see what if Lisa needed, wanted me to answer questions or just be another pair of eyes to see how well things are for her. And, she can go through she can get up in there and walk up and down inside the RV, and inside the RV she can slide into the driver's seat without any problems, even with her cane. And, things are good. And I had fun. I had some. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I love my wife. I will push her wherever she wants to go. But the thing is, when I'm starting to get too hot, I get cranky and I get like just not feeling good. Now, I tried my best to be as calm as possible, as polite as possible, as cool as possible. But there was a section of the store that, for me, for the most part, Dollar Trees don't really interest me unless I'm looking for like certain food items that I know only the Dollar Tree will carry. Otherwise, I'm not a big fan of Dollar Tree. I just do it because my wife needs me to. But today, I was kind of like, I was already hot, not from, not just from getting out of the car to walk through an RV that had, been baking in the sun basically, even though it was a fairly new. In fact, the particular RV that Lisa was looking at was so new that they didn't have it on their cheat sheets to look up prices or information. So we were like, oh wow, so this just arrived at the, just arrived and. But the salesman who I worked with before is a very good fella, and he was like, well, if you come back either tomorrow or later on this evening, we're supposed to get a couple of used ones, if you don't mind a used one. And of course, Lisa was like, I have no preference, as long as, as long as it's certified, it's still good, it's still under, it can have a warranty and, all the important stuff that you would look for in something like an RV, which is looking at it. It's almost like looking at a new home on wheels. Has it been inspected? Is it okay? Am I buying a lemon? Those kind of worries when you're buying something new that's or used that's motorized. So, yeah. I don't mind doing that, but I think what was getting me the warmest, to be honest with you, was I was traveling in the back seat of our van. I want to say our RV. I wish. Pretty soon it's going to be confusing because it will be a minivan slash RV. I hope. I really do hope. The thing is, unless they're cranking the AC and it's got a good amount of that cold air coming to me, I'm getting basically broiled because I'm sitting in the back seat. The sun is literally beating down on me through the window because where the sun is positioned on our way there and our way home. So by the time I got home, I was like, give me an ice bucket. But other than that, right there, I was good. I was trying my best to push Jerry around, let her look at what she wanted to look at. Every so often, I was like wanting to go forward a little bit more faster than she wanted me to, and that's because the factor when I get people like behind me, and they're either waiting to get past us or just, I feel like I'm being the only way I can describe it is I can feel that the energy coming off of them. And a lot of times people, when shopping, their energy is just like, I want to get out of here. I want to come in and get what I need to do and get out as quickly as possible. So it kind of like, I don't like people, walking behind me basically. Especially under the circumstances that I'm dealing with, because it's like I want Jerry to be able to enjoy herself and look at everything, but at the same time, I don't need people like, not that they're breathing down my neck, but I don't need people like behind me trying to look at something that's right next to me and I can't move forward so they can get to it easily because I'm letting Jerry Ann do her thing. And Jerry Ann got a little uppity at one point in time, and I just want to look, hey, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be polite and courteous to the people behind me. That, in fact, how I get when I get crowded. I don't like it. It's one of those things that I have to deal with my anxiety medications and whatnot. But she got like, I have the right to be here too. And I'm like, I understand, hon, but the thing is, I'm the person pushing you. Unless you want me to stop pushing you and just move out of the way, then I'll become, either I'm blocking you from moving forward or I'm blocking people from getting around us. It's a no. For me, it was a no-win situation, and I'm not harping on Jerry. I'm just explaining how my day was and how I was feeling because of the different scenarios and events. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to do things right. And it's not like I wanted to literally it felt like I needed to shut myself off and just do whatever Jerry wanted me to do, which I have a hard time in the first place doing that around here. But I mean, other than that little 2-minute moment, the day was really good. We picked up. We didn't go to the mall because Mom said, "Don't worry about getting any bourbon chicken," because usually it's one of those we got to call ahead and let them know that we're coming to get a catering order worth of bourbon chicken and just the bourbon chicken. Which I love it. In fact, what's the name of the store? What? And that's not Big Easy. It's something else. But anyhow, you'd have to look it up in the mall. It's like if you live in Springfield and you go into the mall via where the food court is, it's literally the first venue on your right as soon as you get through the doors. And it's really good food. You can either get a catering order of bourbon chicken or you can get just a plate. And usually when we get just a plate, because we're eating there, we don't need to take a big batch of it home. I usually get like rice, the bourbon chicken, and corn and mix it all together. And it's like, oh, so good. That's just me. I like various kinds of foods, and bourbon chicken is something I have not been able to recreate at home. I found several different recipes and tried one. And it did not come out quite the same, but it was very, very close. And the one thing I was like, oh, I don't know if I can make this because Mom might not like it because it's got bourbon, actual bourbon in the sauce. But I realized, well, between the bourbon, the other ingredients, cooking it down, you're literally cooking the alcohol out of the equation, leaving behind the sweetness of the bourbon and the flavor, basically, without the alcohol content. I'm starting to sound like I drank some, but no, I did not. The other thing is that I didn't. Excuse me for a second. The other things that we got at the Renaissance store were some little stickers that Jerry's gonna put on her brace, but between her sister Julie and our friend Lisa, we got some specialized crystals that we've got to wait until the 13th to charge them under the full moon close to her birthday. That way they're charged with the very, I don't understand it, but it's charged with a particular type of energy that once it's charged overnight under the full moon, you bring them inside and place them in certain places in the room, and the energy from the moon and the crystals and what the crystals are supposed to be part of the healing assemblage and whatnot, it's supposed to help her with healing. And I'll be honest with you, I don't understand the crystals aspect, but it's natural, and I prefer natural means of trying to do things. I'm not trying to say that I'm so new agey that I don't rely on doctors, but I rely on doctors to a certain point, and then I rely on nature and the natural order of things to do what's right. But it's Jerry's friend who picked these out. One of them says, "What we think we become." Yeah, what we think we become. That's from Buddha. which I'm kind of like, yes and no. Because there's a lot of things that I thought about when I was younger and I never became. So, but I think the meaning behind that is more the energy, the positive or the negative energy. If we think negatively, we become negative. If we think positive, we become positive. So I think that's what that's supposed to mean. Of course, everybody's favorite, especially Lisa, who is quite known by some friends and whatnot through YouTube and a few other medias as Hippie Mama. Peace symbol. And this one, which I think we all liked, I think it's the best thing, not only just for Jerry, but anybody and everybody. And it says, have an attitude of gratitude. And that right there, her friend, I want to say our friends, because I do appreciate Mary and Peter Fry, who are really good people. They had a T-shirt or something like that with something about gratitude. I don't know if it was attitude. Maybe it was attitude of gratitude. I'm not sure, but something that sounded like that or looked like that. So, but I'm happy with what happened today. It was a really good day. I think we all had fun for the near 4 to 5 hours we were out. We left here around 9:30. We got home probably close to 5. So yeah, almost 8 hours. Is that 8 hours? It's 4. Yeah, about 8 hours. But 7 to 8 hours. It was a good day. Granted, it takes about an hour and a half or so, an hour and a half to 2 hours to get from here to Springfield and back, and then driving around to different locations that we wanted to stop in Springfield. The only place I decided that I didn't want to go because it was totally up to me or on me, even though Lisa was the driver of the day because it gave me a day off. Yay! I wanted to go to Barnes and Nobles at first, and then when I got this book and realized how much money I already spent, I was like, maybe we should not go to Barnes and Nobles this time around. mainly because of the factor of money. I had already spent my budget and Jerry's budget. But like I said earlier, bills are paid off. That's all I care about. Before I go doing anything fun like we did today, as long as the bills are paid off and we still got a little extra money here and there, I'm not too worried about it. But anyhow, I hope everybody enjoyed this little video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments about this video and my purchases, go ahead and leave a question or comment. I will try to deal with them. If for some reason I did skip your question, maybe because of the fact that I didn't see it right off the bat, a polite nudge to remind me, hey, I had a question. I'll go back and look at them. Because my video of the night will probably get a lot of different questions. But I'm ready for that. Otherwise, why would I be telling you to put in a question? If you enjoyed this video and you're not a subscriber just yet and you want to see or hear more about Norse mythology or the Vikings or, anything that I'm reading pertaining to Norse mythology or the Norsemen or their occupational hazards of being Vikings, let me know. You can subscribe so you can hear more. maybe you have some different information that you want to exchange with me and tell and let me know where you got that information, whether it was a website or a book. I even might have the book or might be able to get my hands on the book in a reasonable amount of time. I love doing my research. I'm a history lover. I love to read about ancient history. I don't mean World War I, World War II. I mean like the Vikings, the Romans, even though I'm not a big fan of the Romans. Man, that's a whole different story. The history of Bavaria, because, you know, my ancestors are from that region. I can tell you some minor stories about various parts of Germany because I lived there for 3 years. I can even tell you a little bit about Neuschwanstein, the Cinderella's castle, originally built by, or commissioned, I should say, by Mad King Ludwig III. And the reason why they called him mad because he fell ill shortly after the castle was built and went bonkers in a lot of different ways. And not bonkers as in crazy, but he got this like, he wanted to build all kinds of different castles throughout the Black Forest of Germany and the hills and mountains around Munich. And everybody thought he was mad for wanting to do that because he wanted to literally have, like, Neuschwanstein was the crowning jewel of his empire during his time. But he had a castle built across the way on the opposite side of the mountain range so he can live in that castle when he became sick. I mean, I can't remember the exact illness or whatnot, but he just became actually sick, not just mad in the head for wanting all these different castles. But he wanted like a summer castle, a winter castle, a spring castle, Neuschwanstein. He wanted all different types of castles for various purposes or reasons. And he got halfway through his grand scheme and became very ill. And all he could do was live in the one castle across the mountain range and look up at Neuschwanstein and enjoy the view of Neuschwanstein all year round. But Neuschwanstein is like literally the pinnacle of the Bavarian Black Forest in Germany because it's got all the murals and pictures and paintings and Gothic type stuff. He even had I don't know if they still use it, but one of the stories I read was he had a pond built in an underground grotto, and he basically raised or had 2 black swans in that grotto. But those are stories for a different time. I'm trying to sign off, and here I am going off towards a different part of history that I've read and know and cherish. But I can talk about that some other time. But if you decide to join after I've told you all that, that is your choice. Like I said, I like various bits of history. I like nature, national parks. I've got experience from 2 summers in Yellowstone, 3 years in Germany, and a childhood of growing up in the military. That could be part of my videos. But if you choose that you want to hear something like that, you can hit the subscribe button, and once you do that, you can hit the little bell that pops up, and when I put my video in, YouTube will let you know when I put my video in, my next video. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. You guys have a good night. Enjoy. Bye.